Hi, I'm Sally from the B team, and I'm here with Bobby's business partner, Laurence, and he is going to show us how to make latkes today, and I'm really excited.
So let's get to it, yeah?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so latkes are super simple, but of course there are as many variations of latkes as there are of just about anything. So obviously we're going to use about 2 pounds of potatoes, and we're going to use russet potatoes, not waxy or
like a fluffy
Yukon Golds or
potato.
anything like that, because the most important ingredient in the potatoes, or one of the variations that we're going to take advantage of, is the starch content, because we're going to make our magic latke potion, which is an important ingredient to go into the latkes, and we need the starch in these potatoes. And I like cutting them into slightly shorter sections because we don't want really long strands, so we want the potatoes to really seem shredded. So we're going to cut them in like 3-inch lengths.
And you keep the skins off?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And
Again, most recipes, I think I've read like 1 million latke recipes in my life, and this is probably an amalgamation of those recipes and my own trial and error. But most recipes will have you peeling the potatoes, and some will even have you soaking them. We don't do that. We just make sure that they're nicely scrubbed so that our latkes don't have dirt in them. And then I like leaving the skin on just because they give a little extra texture and authenticity. We're going to kind of push them down with some real force because we want to maintain the coarseness. We're going to do the onions in the same thing because we want to sort of get those flavors to start combining. Very important step here, where these potatoes and onions have an awful lot of moisture in them.
Yes.
So we want to get all of the moisture out of the potatoes really for 2 reasons. First of all, we want some of that moisture for another use, which I'm about to show you, but we also want the potatoes and onions to be really dry. So we just take a kitchen towel, wrap it up nice and tight, we're going to squeeze out. You'll be amazed how much moisture comes out. So what's really coming out is the water from the potatoes and onions, but also the starch.
Yes.
You really want to give like that extra twist.
Yeah.
Because think about the potatoes almost as a dry ingredient now. So again, we used, I think, 2 pounds of russet potatoes and a half a cup of yellow onion. Another thing, more traditional, is people use schmaltz. You like that, right?
I love it. Rich schmaltz is amazing.
Which is really just chicken fat.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like rendering chicken fat today.
No.
So
thanks.
we're going to
I'm sure it tastes delicious.
It does. It's like cooking potatoes, and you can also cook them in duck fat, or, I'm a purist though. As you're going to see, I also don't add flour or baking powder, which a lot of latke recipes use. We're going to have our magic latke potion instead. Okay. This is now our wrung dry potatoes and onions, and this is our liquid that came out of it. We're going to let the liquid rest for a while, and it'll already begun to separate. Sure, the starch will settle at the bottom, and that's going to become the base for our magic latke potion that we're going to use to help the latke batter bind. Okay? Awesome. So now what we want to do is we're going to take, while that's resting, we're going to take our potatoes and sort of unconventional step here. We're going to actually microwave this for 1.5 minutes or so, and that's just going to help the potatoes get started cooking so that we don't have to worry about them getting cooked all the way through when we're actually frying them up. So we're going to spread these out just enough to let them cool off when we make our batter. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to slowly pour off the liquid from what was left of our potato water. See that, all that white stuff? That's the starch that we're going to use to help us bind. So we poured off the water from the potato starch, then mix in the 2 beaten eggs, and then we're going to add the potatoes to our mixing bowl. We have a slurry with the starch and the beaten eggs. So we're going to add the eggs. Teaspoon and 3/4 of salt because it really gets soaked up by the eggs. And then we're going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then some chopped up parsley. Get the wetness of the egg mixture kind of bound in. Okay, so we've combined all our ingredients. Yes. I like to use a little 1/4 cup measure, not because I want to put perfect pancakes in like you did, but just to maintain consistency of size.
Gotcha.
So you do them like that, and then as soon as I put them in,
May I?
Yeah, press them down. But don't be perfect about it. We want them to look a little hectic.
All right, see?
Yes, exactly. So we want to cook them until they really start to brown on the outside. We're going to turn it, but we only want to turn them once.
Okay.
Because otherwise they're going to get way too greasy. This guy looks like he's ready to go. See? Give him a little hit, and then we won't touch him again. It's all about the initial press down. That guy wasn't really ready to go, but we're not going to flip it twice. We'll just make sure we cook it enough on the bottom.
And they're all done, and they look beautiful.
They
And I'm
do.
very, very excited.
Thanks for having me, by the way.
Thank you so much for doing it.
It's a pleasure. I'm going to come back on Passover and do matzah
Matzah
brei.
brei.
Yes.
I know. And I
Right.
have my new Jewish grandmother.
So we'll see you on Passover.
All right, thank you.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah.